What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas, and we've got a great show tonight. We're going to be celebrating Martin Luther King and all that he has done to inspire us. We are going to be with our good friends from Light on Light Publications, learn more about what they're doing with our wonderful co-host, Kurt Johnson. And we've got some prayer time happening, some music happening, some Pato and Antoinette videos and connection time. Hallelujah! Anasuya is with us, and she's got something prepared, and we've got some special surprises. But to get us off to our rocking and rolling start, we turn it over to our house musical artist, Omashar.
Yay, welcome and namaste, everybody. And to those of you who are watching on our streaming partners, Humanities Team and Facebook and YouTube, welcome. We love you. I'm so grateful you're here. And this is a song called Sweet Water. And it basically, sweet water is just the water in your heart. So I'm going to go into a cave, as us musicians do, and let's go. Flowers grow, dripping with dew, and rivers flow in sapphire blue. I suddenly know what a fool God I knew. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. And when autumn sun kisses my cheek, whilst cool winds come from mountains peak, with poems on my tongue but no wish to speak. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. Sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. Sweet water, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever, forever and ever and ever. Whoa. When tender hands trace memories where powdered sands meet temperate seas, I don't understand, yet I love mysteries. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. And when evening stars shine all around, my grieving heart's no longer down. And things that were lost, that's where true hope's found. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. Sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. Sweet water, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? Sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. My sweet water, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean.
Let's go to gallery view and let's all send some wonderful love, tears of love.
To all these tears that have lost their fear of living.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we are all drops in this ocean of love, also known as the Global Peace Tribe.
And Rumi says we're not only a drop in the ocean, we are the ocean in a drop.
Oh, you're right. That's a good one. Say it again.
We're not just the drop in the ocean, we are the ocean in the drop. We're actually the ocean within ourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that wonderful reminder. And our beloved Omashar will be back many times tonight. And we look forward to that. So people often say, Scott, at 70 years old, you are the hardest working man we know, but I got to tell you, I'm not. The fellow I'm going to introduce you to works even more than I do. I don't know how he does it. But he's extraordinary. And of course, I'm talking about Kurt Johnson, the maestro of Light on Light Publications. He's got so many books and the news magazine and all that he's putting together for the evolutionary leaders and the Sign Network, Community Earth, and media collaborations. He's amazing. And Kurt, I'm really excited to meet your friends tonight and to learn more about what you're up to with Light on Light Publications.
Yeah, Scott, thank you so much. And I think all of us came on right kind of at the last minute because we've been coming off frantic, busy times. I think that's kind of the same for everybody. So it's a time for us to relax together and connect together and really share the best of ourselves. So it's great to be on again with authors from Light on Light, and particularly from the 2 volumes that trace the entire history of interspirituality, which, like we said in our last chat about it, is the universal spirituality that already resides in all the world's religions. And it is that drop that Omashar was talking about that is the biggest and the smallest and the up and the down, and what's above is below, and we are it. So when Scott, as you remember, last time I was on with Diane Burke, who's the founder of New York's Interfaith Seminary, and with Patrick Carolyn from the Franciscan Action Network. And we had a fantastic chat about personal spiritual development and transformative change. And that's what we're going to be following up with tonight. Because when Scott asked me about who might be great to bring on, I told him about my new friends and old friends, Rory McKenty and Alejandra Warden, who also goes by the fond name of Alex. And what I told him was, when he said, send me a short text, I said, well, both are featured authors in the recent interspiritual volumes, and both join profound spiritual backgrounds with sacred and social activism. And that's so relevant, of course, to the weekend that we're celebrating now, and also to what's going on all around us in the world right now. It's crazy. So Alex, an Argentine American, is especially noted for her work on the divine feminine. Her part in the interspiritual volumes was writing on the divine feminine and the relationship of all the spiritual traditions. And Rory, who has his doctorate in theological and philosophical studies and religion as well, and was an old friend of Brother Wayne Teasdale, who named the interspiritual paradigm, and of course of Father Thomas Keating, who hosted the Snowmass Dialogues for over 30 years, from which comes the 9 points of agreement among the world's religions. And then from that, Wayne Teasdale's 9 elements of a universal spirituality. And we dipped into a lot of that last time. And I told Scott that both Alex and Rory are noted authors and trend leaders in what is happening today, both with spirituality and with multicultural transformative change, which is so relevant then to what we're celebrating this weekend. So if everybody can bear with me just for another minute, I want to give you some more quick specifics about each of Alejandra and Rory. So Rory has his doctorate, as I said. He also has an MA in mathematics from Southern Cal, and that might ring a bell in your football world. He's the author of The Sacred Secular Binary, Challenging the Divide in University Culture and Democratic Societies, and a really pioneer book a number of years ago on the new monasticism and interspiritual manifesto for contemplative living, all about community, which I know is so important to everything that the Peace Tribe is about. And Rory has taught philosophy, math, world religions, mathematics, both at the college level and at the secondary level. And he was also a vice principal in secondary education. And he's the director and founder of the Charis Foundation for New Monasticism and Interspirituality, which really took over the Snowmass Dialogues when Father Keating transitioned. So there's so much to share from the rich past of Charis and everything that Charis is doing now. So Alejandra is a contemplative educator, spiritual teacher, and author dedicated to cultivating a deep consciousness of oneness and the relationship, particularly to the divine feminine. I know, Anasuya, you're going to just vibe with that all over the place. So rooted in the wisdom of the sacred feminine from Sufism, her teachings also integrate her Catholic upbringing in Argentina, offer a natural and embodied interspiritual approach transformation. So when I saw you all dancing, there it was. That's about as embodied as you can get. So she specializes in meditative and contemplative practices, as well as the interpretation of dreams and spiritual experiences. And she serves as an interspiritual mentor, not only for the Spiritual Paths Institute, which I think many of you know was founded by Father Keating, and from which comes contemplative outreach and all of these other things that are huge today. This was back in the pioneer days. And she's also then a part of the Charis Foundation that Rory's a part of, and she's the author of Remembrance, a Vision of the Sacred Feminine and the Renewal of the Earth. So thanks for being patient while I shared those details. So welcome, Rory. Rory and I go back about 25 years. It's great to see you. And Alejandra, I've known you for a long time by reputation. I think it's the first time we've met. So that's really a thrill. So where I want to start is actually, asking you to tell everybody here, so I can shut up and let you guys talk, but to tell us about what each of you bring to the table, both in the sense of what you're doing now, books that you've written, organizations and events and things that you've been a key part of, and what brings you to being able to share with us tonight, both about the journey of personal transformation and the challenge of the collective transformational change that our world just has to get by if we're going to survive, let alone thrive. And all we have to do is turn on our TV to know how tricky that is. So let's go ahead and start with Alex. Alex, tell us about yourself and what you're excited to have this community know about what you're bringing.
Well, as you said, I was born in Argentina. I lived there for many years. I started my work really trying to create beloved community. In Argentina, I've been an educator, a Montessori and Waldorf educator and trainer. And I actually created one of the first Montessori-inspired schools in my country. So what I developed there was education for peace. and it was an ecologically oriented school. And that was really important for me because this happened. It started really when I was 23, in a situation in which my country was going through some military issues, and people were disappearing. Education was really difficult. As a matter of fact, I wanted to study physics and I couldn't because university at the time was closed. So was anthropology, or many of the humanitarian sciences. So basically, I end up in education, and I found that it was super important to create something for a new generation. Because for me, what I noticed was that there was a new awakening consciousness, and it was really brought by children. I could feel that they were very different and they needed something that was not available at the time with traditional education. So I found Montessori, and I found some of Waldorf actually was trained by a woman, Frances Wolf, who was a direct disciple of Maria Montessori, a British woman. And she was the one that actually mentored me into trying to bring these two forms of non-traditional education together. But then I got married, I got twins, and then I came to America and I got involved with Sufism. I had a series of mystical experiences that I was unable fully to understand or put words into. And at that point, I met a Sufi teacher who is a master in interpretation of dreams and spiritual experiences, and I studied with him for over 20 years. I also represented his work in Latin America for about 10. But my call was always interspiritual. So when I met Rory in the first interspiritual gathering, that was, I think, the morning, it was the dawn of interspirituality. I was super impressed because he was bringing something that I felt in my heart all my life, but I didn't have a name for. So after that, really started my journey, not with Rory himself in the beginning, but starting to study more the work of Father Thomas Keating, of Wayne Tisdale, and I found basically slowly a new home. And then when Rory invited me to work, and his also intent, he's going to talk about it more, but his intent to build beloved community in a way that people truly understand what it actually means to work together, in terms of function, not of roles, and in terms of coming together as a community that is based on respect and understanding and sharing values. It's actually food for my soul in a certain way. That's how I feel my work today.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And it's such a great invitation then for Rory to talk about, because Rory and I, like I said, we go back 25 years, and I don't say that lightly. That means Rory was a lot younger. I was a lot younger, but we were both close friends of Wayne Teasdale's, and then fell into everything that Father Keating was building from the Snowmass dialogues, which, of course, as I said, what came from the 9 points of agreement among the world's religions, and then Wayne's 9 elements of a universal spirituality. So back when I first knew Rory, he's one of those people that when you meet him, you know that he's on a journey toward greatness. And I mean that in the most humble way, but I mean it in what greatness really means, in serving and in setting the example and teaching and building things, building those structures that Wayne Teasdale talked about to bring the dreams that you talked about, Alex, into reality, into the real world that we live in, which is so challenged by relationships, as you just said. And that's really the whole meaning of this weekend, and the message of Martin Luther King is all about how we get there as a global collective, about love and sharing, mutuality, all of those values of spirituality. So Rory, tell us about yourself and the journey that you've been on. And it's so great to have you here.
Sure. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for the very generous introduction. Not sure it's totally deserved, but I appreciate it. Yeah, so, I as I first heard about the spiritual journey, kind of coincided with meeting Brother Wayne. So, coming out of college, I got to know Brother Wayne at the 1999 Parliament of World Religions, and then became one of his closest students the last 5 years of his life. He even spent a couple Christmases out with my family during that time. And Brother Wayne, of course, coined the word interspiritual, and so from the beginning of my journey, I kind of had intersecting streams from Brother Wayne, who was a Catholic priest, and inherited Father Thomas Keating, who was Wayne's spiritual father, as a teacher. I also had a Hindu Advaitic teacher, Joshi Baba, and I accompanied Wayne on his last visit to see the Dalai Lama in India, in Dharamsala, India, who Wayne also considered a close teacher, and they had a very close relationship. And so ever since that meeting, I've always felt the Dalai Lama is a presence and teacher for me as well, and Tibetan Buddhism has been a big strand. And as Kurt mentioned, I ended up working with Father Thomas Keating on the Snowmass Dialogue Interspiritual Conference, which started in 1984, and brought together spiritual teachers or advanced practitioners from different religious traditions in a retreat-like setting for like 5 days, usually at his monastery, St. Benedict's. And so I came in 2010. It had already been a long project. I was the administrator for the final 5 years. And when that ended in 2015, we founded an organization, the Charis Foundation for New Monasticism and Interspirituality, that started out continuing those dialogues, the Snowmass dialogues. And we've held, I think, 10 of them so far, and now do quite a bit of other work in the world. But the heart of, at least our organization, Charis, really came out of this deep dialogue among advanced practitioners and spiritual teachers from different traditions. And back then, it was very common where people wanted you to be, sort of choose a tradition. So you can learn about different ones, and then you pick this one, and that's your tradition, and you kind of stay in those boundaries. But since that time, we've seen how the word interspiritual has grown. We see how younger generations increasingly are not following traditional models of the spiritual path. And we also see how important the traditions are with their wisdom and the techniques that they've developed, as well as some of the shortcomings, particularly a lot of patriarchal structures. And so we spent a lot of work in deep dialogue with teachers, and at Charis, I think we've really come to lean into trying to develop structures and communities that allow people to walk their own spiritual path, whether it's in a tradition, whether it's among traditions, or whether it's outside of traditions, with similar types of support and guidance from teachers and a spiritual community to help them on that path, but without losing the depth that is there in the traditions, and ways that will take us all the way to the deeper structures of reality and the deeper parts of the journey, where we have to face the dark side of our personality, and we have to struggle in our work in the world to unite it all and to bring it all together. And so a couple years ago, we got a retreat center down in New Mexico, a very, very beautiful retreat center, Charis Mandala. And we hold retreats here now. We hold our dialogues here. We train people to hold Charis circles in the world, which are kind of weekly meditation prayer groups, along with a communal spiritual reading practice. And what we've found in particular is our work has been reaching out a lot to younger people, so that we get a good intergenerational mix of people who are older, people who are my age, and then a good contingent of younger folks that really resonate with their yearnings for the spiritual journey and their yearnings for those paths to be individuated to some degree, but to also contain solid teachings that challenge them and force them to go deeper and connect in the deepest way, really partner with our religious traditions. And Alejandra and myself and Nathaniel Miles Yepes serve as teachers for that spiritual community. And Nathaniel is also an equal part of Charis, and he is he's the head of the Wisdom Traditions Department at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. And we also have a Keating Schachter Center for Interspirituality there on campus that brings in wisdom teachers and helps them have access to students as well as faculty and staff there, runs other programs like Charis Circles, and is named after Thomas Keating and Nathaniel's teacher, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, one of the great Jewish spiritual teachers of the 20th century. So I think that's some good stuff on Charis. Maybe the other thing I'd just mention is my most recent book that Kurt mentioned, The Sacred Secular Binary, came out a couple months ago, and given this is Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, perhaps is worth mentioning. The book contains some fairly lengthy passages on Martin Luther King Jr., as well as James Baldwin and Malcolm X and others, as well as a full chapter on Howard Thurman, and moves towards what I call a beloved community of religious diversity, and is really looking at the role of a sacred secular divide in our culture, and looking at it particularly in the sense of living in a democracy, a religiously pluralistic democracy, and recognizing that binary has really grown out of a history of our struggles with Christian authority structures and Christendom, and maybe did good and how it grew. But if we look at where we are today, in a very multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial, and very religiously pluralistic culture, where a lot of people's spirituality and religion doesn't even look like traditional structures necessarily, what kind of binary makes sense today? Where is this sacred secular divide, especially in university culture? And so I really challenge the way it's been used, and looking a lot, even from a democratic and a decolonial angle, and a lot through the voices and lenses of Black Americans, as well as Gloria Anzaldúa. What does it mean to move forward to create a truly multiracial democracy? One that only exists in our hearts and our imaginations in many ways. And how can this be born without some sense of the sacred, at least for most people in our country? And so what would this mean in our educational systems and our political structures, and the way we engage as civic beings and as part of a community that's not always of our choosing? We don't get to choose the people we live together with in this country, but that doesn't mean we can't love them. And we have to learn to get together with them, whether we agree or not. And so I think these are some of the deep messages that grow out of some of the great democratic saints who were also contemplative sages. Howard Thurman, Martin Luther King Jr., and others who we can turn to for guidance for where we're at today, especially in their commitment and struggle and sacrifice for the spiritual life, and wherever that would take them, and willing to follow that. So that's probably enough for me, and I can turn it back to you, Kurt, and see where we want to go from here.
Right, that's really great. And just as a heads up to Omashar, in about 10 minutes, when we're 40 past the hour, I'm going to pass it back to you for a little interlude before Rory and Alex and I continue. But what's so amazing about where this conversation has gone is that a lot of you know I do so much work with Rion Eisler, who's 94 years old, and the author of The Chalice and the Blade. So this whole thing about the binary of domination versus partnership, and how we get from domination consciousness and domination culture, which now in politics and economics and everything is ruled by that. It was stark in the Martin Luther King days with the hoses and the dogs, and just crazy. And it's almost equally crazy today how we get to that love-based culture that you're talking about is this transition from domination to partnership. So I wanted to go to Alex and say, Alex, this amazing work that you've done with the divine feminine. The feminine voice is the welcoming voice, it's the embracing voice, it's the yes as opposed to the separation voice. And so tell us more about what that brings to not only our lives individually and our personal lives, but where the world has to go in this transformative change in that sense of the welcoming and the embracing. So tell us about that.
Thank you, Kurt. Yes, I think that the feminine at this point in both men, women, is not just for women. It's an important voice of love, communion, and togetherness, because the feminine understands naturally what is unity, what things are related, how things come together. And it's a force, really, the feminine, in the sense of creation. When we look at creation, everything is integrated, everything is interconnected. It's our part of the sense of separation that does not allow us to see that. And I think that that is one of the main shifts in consciousness that are happening right now, in which people are starting to understand the communion, the sense of togetherness, the sense of interrelatedness that actually is happening. But at the same time, what Rory said, for example, about we need a certain spiritual retraining in a certain way, because this knowing of oneness is what the old sages always knew, but it's not what we still know. So we still come with some parameters that are from the old days, trying to bring together this new kind of community. So on one level, we have the tools, because the feminine is here. It's a new form of consciousness that is here for everyone to take advantage and to integrate. But at the same time, we continue having a consciousness of separation in some ways that becomes a little bit of an impediment. And one of those is what is happening right now, in which you have these two kinds of consciousness. So one that I call most evolutionary, in the sense that is with the times, when things are coming together, reunited, connected, where love and understanding and trying to help one another, it's growing. We're able to do these communities. And there is this other force of this other consciousness that tries to impose separation and differentiation and distance from one another again. So one of the good things is that by using our sense of integration and interconnectedness, we can actually start bringing this world into reality, which is simply to see what it is. The earth is paradise. The world is a heaven on earth. So it's just that we don't see it when we feel separate. But at the same time, what happens is that the feminine has been damaged in a certain way for many thousands of years. So there is also some anger in that. So we cannot respond in the same way of these energies that are trying to separate us by creating more anger. I think Martin Luther King, talking about this weekend about him, he says darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And this talks about what is happening right now to me, when these forces of love and integration are coming together. We cannot put ourselves with the same anger and desperation and grief that we feel, because otherwise we're feeding the same energy that is trying to separate us, that is trying to create this distance. So I think that the feminine right now in all of us can nurture our hearts, can hold the grief, can hold us like a mother, like a father, like a caretaker, really embrace, because we are all suffering. Many people are angry, many people are in deep grief, and start allowing us to see what we have in common rather than when we have indifference, and allowing for this to grow in our hearts, even with the thorns that sometimes we encounter. That's what I feel at this time. The consciousness of the feminine can actually help heal the world.
Wow, that I just yeah. Now you got me speechless. So yeah, how we get to that world. I know Rihanna, I have to admire her so much. She's 94. She's a Holocaust survivor, and she's still tirelessly working, as you said, for this work that this world that we know exists in our heart, could build the paradise you're talking about, manifest the paradise that we feel when we're in oneness with nature, when we're seeing the beauty of what's around us and not being impeded by the craziness what humanity tends to do over and over. So what I'm going to do now actually is I'm going to shed it back to Omashar just to give us a short interlude, because when we come back, I'm going to go back to Rory and Alex and close out this first hour by talking more about the future and taking the visions that both of them have brought to us from the work that they do and we all do, and project that into that prophetic voice that Wayne Teasdale talked about that could bring about that world. So Scott, if you want to say a few things before we tap it back to
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody knows what we're talking about here, and knows about Light on Light. I put it in the chat box, but this is the amazing organization that Kurt shepherds, and you can find it at lightonlight.us, or I like to think of it as lightonlight.us. And right down below, here are the two books that we've been referencing a few weeks ago and again tonight. INTERSPIRITUALITY, Volume 1, The Heritage, Volume 2, The Future. You can get it here, or you can also get it on Amazon. If you are Amazon buyers, just go to Amazon, put in INTERSPIRITUALITY, and it pops right up. Here's the first book, The Heritage. I've got both of these books. In fact, I'll pull them out and show them to you with pride. I really encourage everybody to get these books. They are extraordinary anthologies with some of the most inspirational authors of our time. And you've done an amazing job of putting this together. And that's why we're dedicating two shows to this incredible work. And with that, now I will happily turn it over to my co-pilot, a good friend, Mr. Omashar.
Absolutely. Omashar, over to you.
We shed the cross of ages, revealing light within the fall. We share the joy in living, as finally we no thought about a future. This moment is all we have to know. We walk the path together, and hand in hand we grow. As we walk on earth, we're building an eternity. Now all can see the way back home again, bridging heaven and earth. And now the way is clearer, as we rejoice love is like a river to which the world can come to drink. An ocean when together, and with one mind we think, as we walk on earth, we're building an eternity. Now all can see the way back home again, bridging heaven and earth. Hand in hand we grow, bridging heaven and earth.
Let's send our love and our appreciation. And Iota writes, I'm going to read some comments from the chat box. Iota writes, our love is like a river from which the world has come to drink. Such powerful, poignant lyrics is what Iota is sharing. And while we're on some of the comments, because we rolled right into Kurt and Alex, Alejandra and Rory. And there's some comments I want to read because I'd like to include our audience. Iota writes, Rianne Eisler is truly one of my greatest sheroes. I saw her speak in person about 20 years ago and felt she was truly one of the most important voices of the planet. And KDA writes, I could not agree more. Reverend Jeffrey writes, I happen to believe that we are not one in or with God, but one of God. Now, there's a big difference. If we were one in God, there would be something in a totality that is unlike the totality. If there was something with a totality, there would be a separation between the totality, which we shall call the truth. And that's from Ernest Holmes. And we're going to be celebrating Ernest Holmes' birthday and Reverend Jeffrey's birthday next Wednesday night, January 21st. George Noble writes, interspiritual is a word that never occurred to me, and yet it describes my own journey quite well now. I do attend Sufi gatherings here, and Qigong has become most important to me, and yoga as well. Just as Jeffrey said, enjoying the flow of my own life force, the pleasure singing, dancing, and singing gospel. So thank you for that, George. DeArah is very excited about this conversation. Of course she is. She teaches interspirituality in the schools. She writes, this is fabulous, Kurt. Thank you so much. May the love melt away the trauma. Connie writes, it's a frequency thing. In the lower frequency that was dominant on Earth for millennia, the energy of separation, fear, and scarcity led to the behaviors and systems that are collapsing now as the Earth shifts frequencies, and we see, feel, and know that we are one in an abundant universe, and with trust, we create new behaviors and systems and realities. Onward to peace on Earth. So thank you, everybody, for some of those comments. And now I will turn it back over to Kurt.
Yeah, wow, thank you so much. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so it's interesting, and just returning to the volumes for a moment before I go back to Rory and Alex, in the decision to spend 4.5 years pulling these two volumes together was really about asking the question whether retelling this story, which so many of us, as Rory talk about, were a part of birthing with the naming of that paradigm 25 years ago. You know, Matthew Fox called it deep ecumenism, and that's a good term, because I think what we saw maybe 10 years after the naming of interspirituality was the habit of everyone going back to their silos. And so people, to a great degree, went back to their silos. And as we decided to put these books together on the 25th anniversary of that naming, we really wanted to ask, if we retold that story substantially and in detail and with great authors and great pioneers, could we gin that up? Could we revive that energy to whatever direction humanity might take it? So there was a lot of listening involved in that process. So what I want to do now, I want to be joined again by Alex and Rory, and put on that hat, which was actually the 9th element of Wayne Teasdale's universal spirituality, and that was prophetic voice, which he said is exercising the prophetic voice toward the world of the heart and transformative change and making that real. I'll make one other quick comment. While I was listening to Omashar, I was remembering that back in 1976, that's 50 years ago, I chaired a conference with C.T. Vivian, who you know was a part of Martin's inner circle. And when in the movie Selma, in the kitchen scene, he's the little guy with the hat on in the kitchen scene. And the thing they used to say about C.T. was he was always the person that the police hit first, because he was very small and they knew that they could dominate him. So he was always the one that was getting slugged first. But what that reminded me of is that's 50 years ago that we did that conference at Fordham University Lincoln Center on the relationship of churches and social activism. So this has been a long haul, and it's going to continue to be a long haul. So Alex and Rory, tell us each, start with Rory, when you think of prophetic voice and how to project and reach that world we're talking about, what do you want to share with everyone who's here?
Well, I mean, what comes up for me first is, for it to be a prophetic voice, it has to first be prophetic, which means it has to come from a very deep place inside, and from a side that is not just seeing right and wrong. There are things that have to be resisted, things that have to be named, but I think the power of the prophetic voice and the power of social change is that it stems from a deeper place within us, a place where we really are connected to each other, and does not wash over the indignities and the difficulties and sometimes the horror of what we do as a human race. But if we act in a way that is not connected to that deep source, we diminish the humanity of those we may be standing against. And in doing that, we repeat the same patterns over. And so true prophetic voice also has to be transformative, not only for society, but for ourselves. I think this is part of the great message of Martin Luther King Jr. It's certainly the message of Howard Thurman. And I think it's one reason that they were successful, at least to some degree. Of course, not accomplishing in any way everything that's hoped for. But there was a power that continues to reside in our hearts because of the place where it came from. And so learning how to find that place in ourselves, learning how to commit ourselves to a journey that is not always easy, and though it's filled with love and compassion and wisdom, the road there is usually one of suffering often. And that we're able to embrace that suffering in our life, that we're able to use it for good, that we're able to really work hard on not being overcome by negative emotions, by depression, by anger at what we see in the world, and instead use that as grist for the mill. Use that to find a place of dignity. When I think of Martin Luther King Jr., it's the dignity from which he worked from. And we can turn to that and resonate with it and learn what that feels like in ourselves, and then try to only act from that place. I think that's what makes a voice truly prophetic. and it's not usually the easy road to take. It means allowing us to see the horror, allowing the negative emotions to arise, but then working with them so that when we act with a transformed energy of love and compassion and power and dignity that calls others to their deeper place, or at least for those who have ears to hear. And that we can be okay with our little part in the larger picture and without everything having to be a big splash. That's the dignity of our own lives in whatever way they manifest. So those would be some of mine. I'd love to hand it off to Alejandra now.
Yeah, Alex, come on and join us with your voice on this.
Well, I agree with everything Rory has said, of course. And I think he's speaking to me in my heart to a certain maturity, spiritual maturity, because to have a prophetic voice, a lot of people claim to have prophetic voices. And we have to be very cautious. As he said, it's an ethical, it's a moral development. And that means ego work, as Rory was saying. It means learning to surrender to what is higher and deeper. And it means to learn to see from a place of wholeness, rather a place of what is wrong, but rather what is more perfect or perfectible. And also for me, that includes to offer an experience of what it means to live in this new way. And on that level, just not to repeat what Rory said, I wanted to share that, for example, we try to do that in our work. For example, when we lead retreats, we are 3 teachers rather than 1 voice, which means we're trying to somehow model what it means to have a relationship of equals, in which each person brings their own particular gift of the divine, because each one of us have particular qualities to offer to the world and to ourselves and for our journey, but also how we can actually weave that together. That we do the same, for example, in our circles. We try to bring an understanding of what interspirituality really means. It's not just learning to respect that somebody else has a different opinion. It's more how to feel the other, and how to feel the beliefs of the other, the practices of the other, how to really embrace the other truly as an equal and truly as the gift that is to the world. And for me, it's always to look at people, try to see people from a place of what I call the soul, or from a place of wholeness, because we have grown. For example, I work a lot in the area of psychology, and one of the issues is that sometimes we're always looking for the defect, what is wrong, what needs to be fixed. And I think that essentially we have, most people have a very pure essence. If we can call to that core nature, I think that we can actually bring the best out of people. So when we have our retreats or our work with the circles, we try to actually allow for the experience of what it means to live in community, what it means to live in an interspiritual community, and what it means to seek for meaning. Because spirituality sometimes is a word that not everyone can understand, but all of us seek meaning. All of us seek something that is more true in ourselves. So we also try to also look at our vocabulary, how we can communicate to others so that we can understand one another. So we try to build bridges, not so we don't come just, this is my religion or this is my belief. I'm trying to find ways of true communication. So for me, prophetic voice, it's also it's a way to experience the truth of what interspirituality means.
Yeah, wow. I'm just saying we're going to be tossing it back to everybody here in about 4 minutes. So I want Rory to have a chance to put a capstone on what Alex just said, and then I'll say a few things, and then there's such a great second part to this program. We can turn it over to them and I'll continue. This has just been so rich, amazing. So Rory.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I want to say thank you to everyone for having us. It's wonderful to be here. And I'm just going to kind of pick up on Alejandra's point. I think one thing that's really important to recognize is that, the only types of communities that exist are not necessarily ones where everyone has to believe the same thing or have the same framework for their journey or even all be doing the same practice. I think in the past we've often thought of it that way, but one of the hopes of the inner spiritual is that we really do begin to manifest a kind of unity in our diversity, a diversity that can really support each other, knowing that we have unique ways of approaching the world, unique experiences in our life, but we can form community and we can form places of support for these types of communities. And it's so necessary. I'm thinking, Kurt, you'll recognize this. You spent time there, but last Sunday I was at St. Benedict's, our old stomping grounds, except this time it was for the final mass that they will ever have there, because this is Father Thomas Keating's monastery in Snowmass, Colorado, a powerful sacred land where a number of advanced people quite advanced in the spiritual life spent their lives and times praying and pouring energy into. Kurt and I were there together numerous times. And it sold because there's no more monks. It's left with 3 or 4 older monks, and they had to close it down, and it was bought by a billionaire, the CEO of Palantir Corporation, whose organization is currently finding immigrants for ICE through data analysis and helping out Mossad in Israel. And this is the closing of the monastery is not a new story. It's going on at many monasteries and places of spiritual retreat in the West. And you can also see hints of it beginning in the East. And so I think there's a recognition that these places serve as like lungs for the human family, right? Or kidneys, really. Processing our negativity, allowing the human family to breathe in a certain degree. And everything has become so tight and so converged right now that we are in great need of these kinds of places of refuge. Refuge from the craziness and the busyness of the world, the psychic strain and the negativity of it, where deep work is going on that is no way separated from the world, but is helping it to breathe and helping there to be some spaciousness in it. And so creating places of refuge in our individual lives, some sort of silent or contemplative practice every day, every week, every month, retreats every year, places where we can hold communities that don't force us all to believe the same thing, but hold us all in the same sacred space and support our journeys. This is sacred activism. This is a form of social activism today. And if we don't continue to build some of these vents in our personal and communal lives, the societal strain might just burst. And so the work that spiritual life and contemplative life, it's desperate work that the world desperately needs. And it doesn't always happen in big ways that are seen, but it's felt. And all of this builds up and is a huge part of creating the foundation of a new world that hopefully can grow with all the work that we are all doing. So that's some of the work we're trying to do here at Charis as well, is just provide some of that space of refuge in our lives.
That's great. So let's do this. Let's bring Alex back on so the 3 of us can hand it off back to everyone at the Peace Tribe here together. What I wanted to say, and it really is what makes every day in my life, is that as I was listening to you all and everybody, how much I celebrate the interspiritual pioneers who continue this message, because this is really the only way that humanity is going to make it. And when we were doing the volumes, oh my gosh, 120 of those voices that we were processing. And I realized, that one of the thrills that, Rory, Alex, and so many of us get is we know people who've raised the bar so high in how they live, and they rise to that, they live that way. And knowing those kinds of people and working with them is what keeps all of us going and gives us that hope that that world that we know could be there can actually happen. And as you've said, that really is looking to what is already there in all of us and knowing that that could be brought forward. So Rory and Alex, thanks so much. I mean, this has gone by like a flash, but it's been so rich. And so the three of us, we're going to hand it back now to what's an amazing second part, because I know a lot of the next row of guests, and they're like everyone else here, they're heroes. So Scott, back to you.
Well, thank you very much for the wonderful work that you're doing. And I was really touched by much of what you shared, and I can see our audience was as well. And it's we are the Global Peace Tribe, and you are out there on the front lines doing it. So thank you both. And I hope you'll both come back onto the show again so we can go a little bit deeper with you. Yeah.
Great. Rory, great to see you. Alex, great to have this time with you. And on we go.
All right. Thank you. And Kurt,
You too, Kurt.
stick around because we do have the second half of the show is going to be very, very powerful.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you. And thank you, Kurt, as well. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Well, we are going to kind of swing into celebrating Martin Luther King weekend. And I'm actually going to show a pair of videos created by our beloved friend Pato Banton. I think Pato and Antoinette are going to be joining us shortly. And this first one kind of takes us back to when I first met Pato and Antoinette. During the pandemic, that's when a lot of us really got started. It's when we began the Global Peace Tribe. It's when Unity Earth began. And that's when I met Pato and Antoinette. And shortly after we started was when the horrible murder of George Floyd took place. And I don't know if you remember, some of you are old timers, but we dedicated 6 weeks exclusively to shows with our friends and colleagues of color. That's when I really grew close to Antoinette, who actually I do see is here. Wonderful. And so the first video we're going to show, they couldn't call it Black Lives Matter because YouTube and the powers that be say, no, all lives matter. Well, duh. Anyway, it's a beautiful video, and it's also painful because it reminds us of the history of slavery. Anyway, we're going to start off with the All Lives Matter, but we know it's really Black Lives Matter. And of course, all lives matter. Anyway, let's get to the video and away from my proselytizing here.
From slavery to right now, this ain't nothing new. All lives matter. You see, black people face the worst persecution, and you know it's true. All lives matter. But remember that black lives matter too. Yes, black lives matter. say they don't see color. Well, they must be colorblind. I see real prejudice all the time. See hate in the eyes of a racist mind, and suffer injustice with a plastic smile. See yellow tapes and signs saying don't cross the line. Another brother just died without a proven crime. Oh Jah, this world can be so unkind, and life can be bitter like a glass of lime. So many conversations are a waste of time, like throwing your pearls before a bunch of swine. So especially when you're living on the front line, we know that all lives matter. But remember that black lives matter too. So you wanna make America great again? Please tell me when, with your long history of genocide, a trail of blood that you just can't hide. The murder and rape of all native tribes, so many years of slavery, a wicked crime. Oh Jah, it still blows my conscious mind. Slavery, sharecropping, and then Jim Crow. You always tear us down every time we try to grow. Yes, Martin Luther paid the greatest price for peacefully fighting for our civil rights. Now how many more must we sacrifice? Emmett Till, Timmy Rice, Eric Garner cried, I can't breathe. 11 times, 76 bullets took Jamarion's life. Nearly 9 minutes on the neck of George Floyd. Lord, I can still hear my brother's cries. We know that all lives matter, but remember that black lives matter too. Mix me now. We got racist police not afraid to show it, and prejudice people who don't even know it. Every time we tell them that black lives matter, you should see the temperature getting hotter. Then here they come with a bag of chitter chatter, telling us again that all lives matter. But when you check out the national data, it's mostly black people getting better, killed or in jail for the simplest of matter. Fatherless families shattered and scattered. They make the most nice when Kaepernick takes honey, but not a song when we die innocently. They call this the home of the brave, land of the free. 50 years before the end of slavery, but the whole world sees the brutality. The Confederate flags and hypocrisy. Never too late if we truly believe what we can see. We will achieve together as a family. We know that all lives matter, but remember that black lives matter too. Black lives matter too. You got to remember that black lives matter. Ooh, black lives matter too. Yeah, black lives matter too.
All right.
And there they are, Pato and Antoinette. Such a powerful, painful video to watch and important. So thank you, Pato and Antoinette, for your amazing work. Here we are, 6 years later, still doing it. And I'd love to just turn it over to both of you to share whatever you'd like to share about Martin Luther King, how he inspires you, and also please update our audience on the work you're doing with Ubuntu.
All right. Well,
right.
first of all, I want to say that, Scott, when you did have me on that show years ago, I remember telling you, I said, Scott, I said, thank you for allowing us to be able to share our voices. Because, me and my girlfriends, when we were doing the music, I mean, we were so like, I remember when they had called me and everything, and they said, "What are we gonna do?" And I said, "We're gonna write some music. We're gonna write some music, and we're gonna sing some songs and stuff." And that was our way of outletting. But we never thought that nobody would ever want to listen to what we were saying because we've been saying this for decades. Nobody ever wanted to listen. So when you gave us that platform, and I remember it's me and Dr. Marty and two of my other girls over there from up in Portland who were all heavily involved with the Wall of Moms at that time and everything. And we had all came together and it was like, wow, we actually have an audience that was willing to listen to the things that we were trying to say. And I remember I told you, I said, all right, Scott, now make sure you have a Black person on your show every month. It doesn't have to be me, but you got to have somebody Black. And that's when, it started to come out and all these wonderful new people started coming out on your show. And, 6 years later, here we are. You've been like one of our biggest, biggest, biggest supporters in all the work that we do. And we're so grateful and so thankful. And that's why I said, anytime you want us, we're always here because,
You're wonderful about
you're
that.
just amazing. Thank you for allowing us to share.
When I think back to when the very first time I had you on the show, and it was shortly after the George Floyd murder. And I said something along the lines of, "Oh my God, isn't it shocking?" And you said, "No, this is what we live with. We've been living with this for decades. It's shocking to you because it's the first time you're seeing it on television,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not shocking to us at all." And that was, even when I think back to that, that was such an education for me. It was like, oh, wow, right. It's new for us because it's the first time as a white person we're seeing it on social media and television, but this is what you've been living with your entire life.
Mm-hmm. And it's strange because like right now, because we seem to be going backwards because, they want to release Derek Chauvin. They want to release the killer who killed what's my girl's name in Tennessee? Oh, Breonna Taylor. I mean, yes. They're releasing all of these murderous criminal racist police officers, and you see what they're doing to everybody else now. Now everybody's fair game. And we warn people, we're like, listen, you think that they're just coming after us? They're going to come after you. And they are coming after you now. They're coming after everybody. So this is the time when everybody needs to kind of like really just come together. We all need each other. We really got to come together. And we really have to come together with the people who are against us because they're not going anywhere. We all have to live together just like MLK say. It's like we're either going to live together or perish together as fools. And right now we're in that perishing part until we start learning how we live together and get along with one another.
I want to read a couple of comments that came in, and then I'd love to hear from you also, Pato. Ayada wrote, "Dear Pato and Antoinette, this video was so painful to watch and so necessary to see. I find it difficult to fathom how people are so resistant to knowing the brutal reality of racism. Even a few of my relatives reacted negatively to the Black Lives Matter movement, which was heartbreaking." Shoshana writes, my dear friend Nancy Bloom is a new member of the Global Peace Tribe. Welcome, Nancy. She's an amazing songwriter and medicine woman. There's a video. We'll check that out. We will definitely check it out. DeArah has friends in Minneapolis who are protesting today. Here's one. Carol Craig, I recently watched 12 Years a Slave and cried all the way through it. I sometimes feel so horribly apologetic for the sins of my ancestors, and it's overwhelming for me. As a white person who married a Black immigrant, this has haunted me deeply. Thank you, Carol. We love Carol and her beloved. And Carol, she of course goes back, lived in Africa, and you've conversed with her frequently.
Yes.
So, Pato, what would you like to share tonight?
Firstly, I want to say no empathic white person should ever feel the need to apologize for the racist members of their race for their actions in the past. Because black people have also contributed to black suffering across Africa. Even today, there are black people selling out Africa and causing horrendous crimes against black people. So it's not about a race. It's not about race against race. You know, we can identify that, yes, black people were enslaved by white people, but black people were also enslaved by black people. White people were enslaved by white people. Chinese people were enslaved by Chinese people. It's a mentality where a group of people from every race thinks they have the right to acquire free labor from people that they deem as not being worthy to have equality. So I want to start by saying that. Secondly, it's true. Nothing that we have seen is new. I grew up with people in my community being murdered by the police all the time. I've lost friends who got murdered in a police station. I was kidnapped once by the police while I was in the middle of the city center on my way to see a friend. Sorry, I've got some grapefruit on my mouth. I was walking through the city center to see a friend, and the police kidnapped me, took me down to their station, and beat me until I signed crimes that I did not commit. There were a few there that I did commit, but there were some there that I didn't commit. And when I went to court with all the evidence that they had beat me, photographs of my face battered, I didn't even look the same. It took the jury less than an hour to find me guilty of every crime, even though they knew that I'd been forced to sign these documents. So, you know, I've experienced it personally, but I'm not bitter, you know, and this video wasn't about being bitter. It was about just presenting the history, presenting the current times that we're living in, and just to let people know that we can change it. And Martin Luther King is so relevant today because he had a dream of the future. He set a standard for us that we have not attained yet. It's a dream, but it's more than a dream. It is a spiritual reality and a destiny for humanity. That is our goal. As humanity, God has set a goal for us. And it's a goal that cannot be achieved by one race. It has to be achieved by all spiritual people that come together and tip the scales from this mentality of materialism and tilt the scale towards spirituality. And as Martin Luther King says, what we need to build is a beloved community. And that is attainable. It may not be in my lifetime, but as a farmer, I can plant some seeds today. And if everybody in our spiritual community, even if there's only 50 of us or 100 of us, you know, Jesus only had 12 disciples, well, 12 men and a lot of women that were not recognized. There was actually more women than men in the end of the day. But with those few that he had, the majority of the world now look up to Christ. You know, so with that being said, I know that if we all take this mentality of being seed planters of love, seed planters of peace, seed planters of truth, standing up when we see things that are wrong, seeing evil and calling it out instead of trying to put a damper or a blindfold over ourselves when we see injustice. Let's call it out. And when we see truth and what's right, let's also call that out. But I believe in all of you. I know most of you here, and I've seen a lot of the good works that a lot of you do. And I am encouraged that there is more good going on in this world than what they show us in the media. So let's continue, even if it's without getting recognized, let's continue to plant our seeds, you know. And I know that with the will of God, all of those seeds will come to fruition. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Please tell us about where things stand with the spirit of Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. All right. Well, I'm going to start and let Antoinette finish because she is so dynamic. I'm just struggling to keep up with her. But as you know, we went to 10 African countries, interviewed about 14 or 15 individuals and organizations about the spirit of Ubuntu. We released it in January of last year. We went to, how many countries was it, Antoinette?
10.
No, to show the movie.
Oh, 21.
We went to 21.
That was last year.
We counted 21 countries to promote the movie. It was well received around the world. The movie has to date received 28 awards from film festivals internationally. So now I am also an award-winning film producer.
We.
And Antoinette got Best Movie Score Award for her music throughout the documentary, which she recorded in
432 hertz.
432 hertz. And since we've released the documentary, we went back to the 10 African countries to show it. But since we've released it, we have started, with the help of God Jameson at Compassionate Las Vegas, we have currently built 3 schools. We're building a cultural center right now in Uganda.
It's actually 4 schools.
4 schools.
4 schools in Zimbabwe.
And we are now building 8 homes for 8 homeless widows, and some other homes for individuals. Antoinette has established an organization called Ubuntu International. And we are about to launch on Monday. We will launch a new website called Uplifting Ubuntu Project, which has been co-founded by God Jameson, Antoinette Roots Data, and yours truly, Mr. PB. And we are actively working with communities primarily across Africa right now, but also other parts of the world. But I'll let Antoinette let you know what she's doing with Ubuntu International, which just blows my mind.
Now, question before you start, Antoinette, because I was going to take people to your Spirit of Ubuntu website.
Yes.
Is that still the best one to take people to?
Yes. Or you can take them to Uplifting Ubuntu Project. It's actually
you can let them have a sneak peek,
Yay!
Pato?
You guys can have the first sneak preview.
All right, let me.
Oh, wow. Okay, well,
Nobody else has seen it yet.
All right.
Put that in the chat box and I'll pull it up. And this is their other website. So I just want people to know about it. Put it in the chat box.
The Spirit of Ubuntu really is mostly focused on the documentary and the organizations involved in the documentary. And you can watch the documentary on that website, the Spirit of Ubuntu.us or Ubuntu.us.
And I love that you've got all the little dots of people that are connected to you. And there we are up in the San Francisco Bay Area, your global peace driver. That's right, there we are. And also there's this one in Seattle.
But yeah, it's a great, that website, the Spirit of Ubuntu.us is an amazing.
And I love your earth here. I love playing with it. So I'm playing with the earth.
And actually there's background music too if you click on the music icon by the earth. There's a very special loop that is exclusive to the website.
I did not even know that part. And where's the link to? Oh, here.
If you look
I put it in the chat.
If you look over the map,
okay,
you should see a music icon or a button that says play music. You may have to make it full screen.
Let's try that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that music button there in the middle.
Can you see it at the very top?
Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go.
There we go.
I'm going to have to make that button bigger.
And with a red letter that says,
Yeah.
Play.
Play.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So the next website is Uplifting Ubuntu Project.
I put it in the chat
This
already.
is the first website I've ever personally created. With the help of Antoinette, of course. And this
We're gonna
shows
look
what
at-
we are currently embarking on.
There you go.
Wow. It's amazing. If I know most of or many of our people have seen the documentary, but for those who haven't seen it yet, my favorite part is when you arrive and all those kids, hundreds of kids, are lined up and they're so excited. And oh my God, it brings tears to my eyes every time I see it. And this first photo reminds me of that. And how they share their fruit. Oh my God, the story of how they share the food as opposed to being competitive for the food was so beautiful. Amazing. 75 communities uplifted, 1,500 empowered women, 4,500 youth impacted. And these young people, imagine you're, a young person, 14, 15 years old in Africa, and you're making music with Pato and Antoinette. Can you imagine what a life-changing experience that is to be making music with these beautiful rock stars? It's so wonderful the work you're doing.
So I encourage everyone to take a look at that site when they get a chance, upliftingubuntuproject.com. There's we've got 3 major hubs in Kenya. This woman here
She's so amazing.
is amazing. And then we've got Zimbabwe. That's the second hub. And then the third hub is Grace Villa Sanctuary for Girls in Uganda. And then the fourth hub now is Antoinette overseeing multiple projects that are doing smaller hubs. They're doing art, they're doing media, they're doing dance, they're doing
women's empowerment across permaculture,
women's empowerment
across 5 countries.
There's a long list of things that's going on that we're engaged in right now. But our life right now, I wasn't expecting it, but our life is really rotates around the spirit of Ubuntu now. And when you see the website, you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. But there's a lot of dynamic stuff going on, and we're seeing a lot of young leaders emerge, and a lot of dynamic women are evolving as well, because in many parts of Africa, women are the underdogs. They're really treated like a lower class. And Antoinette is like this militant female soldier on the front line telling all the women this can't carry on. I'm sure she's going to get a lot of people in trouble, but she doesn't seem to be too worried about that. But these women are standing up, and they're coming out of their shell, and it's beautiful to see.
That's beautiful. Well, Antoinette, I apologize. I had interrupted you to show the website. What would you like to share?
Okay, well, I could probably share it inside of what I've been doing with if you pull up the next website underneath that I sent you there, it's the Stand Up for Justice. So I finally, after all these years, finally updated it.
I mean, that was the very first website when we first started working together.
That's right.
Yeah. It all started with that. So here it is, and let me show it to everybody.
Ta-da!
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's totally different.
Totally different, yeah. And if you scroll down, so you see the transformation. There you see Pato with the popo, the police behind him, smiling. Who does this at a protest where you actually have the police smiling?
I love it.
And I'm shouting down the speaker, no justice, no peace, no racist police. And I've got the sheriff's department and the mayor of the city marching behind me.
The city council.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. They loved us. And
awesome.
I didn't get a chance to tell you, but since we did start working with the police, go ahead and scroll. Scroll up. We started our relationship working with the police.
Yeah, scroll down.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we started working with these guys and we introduced the Blue Envelope program and the additional registry for the autistic community within our community, so that way they don't just go in there guns blazing. It's like, look, let's work together with the community and not fight against each other. If you can understand the things that we're talking about, and he was the one, Lieutenant Kent was the one who actually brought his nephew to our protest because we had so many
Was his
children there.
niece?
It was his nephew, his
Okay.
6-year-old nephew.
Oh,
Yeah.
who was the girl? There was a girl that brought the nephew.
His sister.
Okay, it was his sister. That's right,
Yeah,
his sister. But this meeting here with Antoinette and the police, we did 2 marches, 2 demonstrations in our city. And after the first one we did, which we did not intend to lead, it was the leadership of that march was thrown into our hands 30 minutes before the march started. And we handled it peacefully. There was not even one incident. And then when the community planned the second march without our knowledge, the police told them to wait until they spoke to us.
Wow.
And then the sheriff came to our house, sat down with us and said, there's a second march coming up. Will you please lead it? And that's why you see them behind us, because we had all met and we all promised each other that no matter what happens, we're going to maintain peace and we're going to maintain respect for our community. And we also, the reason why they were also marching behind us was to protect us.
Because there were threats.
Because people were threatening to drive their cars into the rally.
And they wanted to open carry. There was a lot of talk about open carry.
And on the community's Facebook page, they said that Pato and Antoinette are agitators. So there were people threatening violence against us, even though we were non-violent. And that's something that I wanted to also share. When we got involved with these rallies, we went in there with the spirit of MLK. We were determined that no matter what was thrown at us, we were going to maintain a peaceful attitude. And it all worked out, thank God, in a peaceful way.
Especially because here in Southern California, I mean, every city was on fire.
Yeah.
Every city was on fire.
Every single march had violence.
You had violence, except for our city. It's like, we're not going to allow this to happen. No. Yeah. And if you flip back to the site again, I'll show you as we're going down how we moved into if you go down, yeah. So we started doing Juneteenth. But, we started doing Juneteenth from that time on. And then we got into Ubuntu. And you just go down, there's the documentary. And then you go on down, keep on going down. Divine Mother's Love, I started doing that with Sister Ejna and Sister Joni, with our Indigenous sisters. I started creating. Yeah, this was from the 8th fire, remember? This all happened at the 8th fire. Then we created a wellness because, I was on my wellness journey. Being diagnosed with cancer. And it was like, all right, I got to start sharing with people what I've been doing, how I saved my life with no surgery, chemo, or radiation. And then if you scroll down.
Pharmaceutical drugs.
Right. And then you can see like some of the other events that we started doing, like with Ubuntu, with our wellness. And then as I start to create more of the pages, you scroll down some more. Keep going. Our impact, our youth programs, our festivals, our gardens, our healing sessions, our global connections, our women's gatherings, women's empowerment, global is very, very huge. Like the Indigenous women's gatherings, I mean, we are coming together in full force. Divine Mother's Love, the women that we're meeting around the world. It's like, the sacred covenant to protect Mother Earth. All of these things are connected with Ubuntu, So, does it go down more?
So this is the true meaning of women being multitaskers.
Well, I love that picture of you guys.
Yeah.
Good one. That's beautiful.
Yeah, our founder's journey, philosophy. So I have all this took a while to work on because it's like I said, doing websites and creating all these things, but it was like we have to sit down and start sharing and documenting all the things that we've been doing, which is a lot.
Oh my God.
It doesn't even cover the scope of all this stuff, but I wanted it to be very, very clear as we're launching these sites on Monday, about what we're doing. The women's empowerment, like I said, is so important because that woman, Anne, that I showed you, she has a documentary of her own, where she was fighting her own parents and the people in her village that wanted to kill her own child. and
Jesus.
stuff. I mean, it was crazy, but she was like, she goes, I want an education. She wanted an education, and she wanted to be able to educate and uplift and empower other women. And when I tell you these stories about where these guys are coming in, we're talking pastors, we're talking African leaders, we're talking males coming into trying to take the things from the what the women have been building. When we got them the sisal machine, these guys came in and tried to take it. The women had to fight them. When the pastor tried to sit there and abuse and oppress these women, they had to fight them and take them out of there.
Actually, the pastor was abusing them very well until you got involved.
Well,
You messed up his whole scheme.
well, yeah, because see, these guys don't like this. You know what I'm saying? They really don't like. And it was funny because remember with Carol, I was like, I said, Carol, I said, listen, you ladies need to be here because this is for you as well. And if you don't speak up and ask for the things that you need, then you're gonna get looked over. And these guys who are collecting money on the behalf of women all the time in Africa, I'm like, why don't the women? Where's the women in this? Why don't they get a say so? Why aren't they speaking up for the things that they want or they need? And then I'm learning the women are like, I'm not allowed to speak. I'm not allowed to speak, unless he gives me permission to speak. I'm not allowed to
Oh my
present my
God.
ideas. I'm not allowed, and even one of the water projects that Anna's working on, these people didn't have water for years. They were suffering. She went and fixed it, and here the guys all sitting around thinking about how much money they can make. And she was like, what's going on? What's going on? Coming out there, it's like, what are you guys talking about? What are you guys doing? Because she realizes, like, if they can't speak up for themselves, those guys will sit there and take it away from them because they do not understand these things. So the literacy is a problem. The education is an issue. These women are tired. They're working, 50 jobs and supplying
domestic
the
violence. Is an issue.
violence, the femicide, the murder and the abuse and the oppression. So these women is like, and the only thing I'm like, I can't go in there and save you. The only thing that I can do is just to sit there and tell you that you are a divine child of God. And you are sovereign, and you are so much more than these things. If you see these things within yourself, you will see how powerful you are. And sometimes I'm sitting here dealing with these guys. I'm like, listen, I know it's hard. When I tell the women, I was like, I know it's hard to get these guys to listen to you, but you're the one in charge. They're going to have to respect you sooner or later because you're controlling the purse strings. And now that these women are starting to get this confidence, and Anasuya, girl, I'm going to see you in the morning because when you see these girls from the last time you met them, when you met them months ago, when you see them tomorrow, you're going to see these girls. They're sitting there. Yes, I told him I need money for pads for the girls, and we gave out 500 pads. I was like, how did you do it? She goes, I told him. I was like, what? So you went and you got him to raise money to get those pads for the girls. I was like, good for you. And the other woman, she's like, this women's empowerment is mine. Nobody's going to take this away from me. We're going to do this. I'm like, yes, you go, girl. And just seeing like the joy and the happiness and the determination. And even one woman who was pregnant with a child, just traveling all up and down Uganda, empowering these women, letting them know. She's like, you are divine. We are going to pray for this power and this strength to give us back our dignity and our strength. Watch how these women are going to upturn Africa to the world, Ubuntu to the world. And that's our song, Omashar. We're still going to record that song, Ubuntu to the world. We're doing it. Yep.
Beautiful. I want to read a couple of comments that have come in, and then we're going to take a look at your MLK video, which is my favorite. You probably recognize the background since you mentioned the eighth fire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I use this backdrop most of the day with all my clients.
Nice.
Comments from our audience. Carol Craig writes, my experience in the village I was in Kenya was that the women were very much in charge there. And the literacy rate in Kenya is about 83%. It's only 79% in the United States. So Kenya actually has a higher literacy rate than our own country.
That's good.
Well, this is kind of interesting considering that, like when we're there, I don't know where they're getting these figures, but where we're going around, the girls, the lack of the girls are very, very smart. It's the thing is because they have school fees in Africa. all over Africa, other than Burkina Faso, do they have school fees. So the people who are going to school are the boys, because they invest in the boys. They don't invest in the girls. And then when the girls don't have the pads or whatever, most of them are missing out like 3/4 of the school time. But you know what happened with that girl, Pato, Shanita, in Uganda and other places? Like like a lot of places, like going to Africa, the girls are the ones selling the food, the vegetables, picking rocks, doing this, doing that. They're not sending the girls to school.
No, the girls are not getting an education.
They're not getting the education. So they may have high, rates, but there's so many girls that are not getting an access to the education because nobody will invest.
And even in Kenya, it depends what part of Kenya you're going. Because if you go outside of the city, when to the villages that we've been to, there's no school for miles and miles and miles.
Oh, boy.
And if the girls walk to school, they're at risk of getting raped. And then if they don't have sanitary towels, when their period starts, they have to stay at home.
They don't go.
There's a lot of issues that we've seen over there. And that's why we're trying to develop schools in these villages so that they've got somewhere to get educated.
They're walking 2 hours.
Yeah.
They're walking 2 hours.
Same thing in Zimbabwe.
For water or for school. Yeah, that's why it's 4 schools that's been built in Zimbabwe, because all they like it's for miles and miles and miles and miles.
Yeah, no schools.
That they're walking, and it's really it's dangerous because there's no talk. It's like we can talk to the women, empower the women, and sit there and say, hey, don't rape us and everything, but who's talking to the boys? Don't rape. Don't abuse, don't do these things, so there's so much work. And even I tell people, it's like, even if you don't have money to contribute, you can contribute some time. You can jump on a Zoom with me and talk to these people and give them some encouragement and some hope. That is free. That is free. If you can jump on a Zoom, it's like, hey, inspire these girls and say, hey, something, you are somebody and you're going to be an amazing person and everything else. When they hear that, it's just like their heart is so full, because they're like, somebody else is thinking about me when I think that nobody is thinking about me at all.
Right. So Shoshana wants to know how she can jump on a Zoom with you. Do they contact you through your website?
Yeah, or let me put my email inside of here too.
Okay.
But I would, we even talked about that because I told Joan, this was so funny. So Joan is a crystal woman, after sitting in that 8th fire, right? I got all into, that was so amazing. I was like, you guys are going to have to teach me about crystals and about, ceremonies and things like that. So I took a whole bunch of crystals. I have a bowl and I started giving out these heart crystals to the women in Africa. And I told them, I said, yo, hold on to these crystals because these are magic crystals and they're very powerful, and they got so excited. And Carol, she said it totally saved their life. They was in some accident, but she said she had the crystals and because she believed in it and she put her intention in it and stuff. I was like, all right, we're going to have to do a crystal class because I don't know that much about crystals. I was like, Joan, can you do a crystal class, for my girls in Africa so that way they can understand how to, work with the crystals and everything. And she said, sure, I would love to. And then any other women that has any kind of gifts to offer or something, if you want to offer something, my ladies would love it. They will take that into their empowerment programs because that's one of the things that we're doing that's different with our empowerment program, that's different from any other empowerment program. Like some, all they do is reusable pads. Some might do trauma healing. Some might do sexual abuse. Some might do music or other things. But what we're doing is we're incorporating all of the best things from the different organizations into one. So that way, every time they get together with the women, they're learning something new. They're learning how, like we're doing a thing on tell somebody, teaching the children how to talk if someone's abusing them or troubling, because we found out girls were being sexually abused by their uncles and their fathers and their uncles and other people, and they didn't know how to speak up. So we're going to do something on that, so anything that anybody can offer, we will give to them and they will implement it and they will teach other women. Each one teach one. That doesn't cost anything, so I invite you all.
Thank you. We're gonna take a look at your MLK video, and then Hallelujah Anasuya has a whole program she's put together for us tonight. But
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
so
you
many
looking fly, Anasuya. She looking so good. Look at her.
let's bring her up. There she is. She looks awesome, honestly.
Oh, yeah, look at her. She looking
Wow,
so
makeover
bright.
kitty here.
New year, new me.
Mhm.
You
But
look
thank you. I mean, like I have so much to say that you piggyback. I had to pivot. I actually had a completely different presentation going on, but after I heard Alejandra and Kurt and Rory, my spirit told me very clearly,
Mm-hmm.
we got something new to offer.
All
And
right.
so, where spirit has led me is toward the importance of sacred activism. And so you all are the perfect segue to what I'm going to say. So did you want me to go next, or did you want to?
Let me show the MLK video, and then we're going to go to Hallelujah, Anasuya.
And can I just say much love to everyone here?
mm.
I just want to say much love to everyone here. Blessings.
And there's so many comments that have come in. Just now, Roger Tellefson writes, Antoinette and Pato, you both are an amazing inspiration. What powerhouses. And it's really, really true. You two are just so inspiring. Lorna says, you two are superhuman. Deborah Helen says, you are so inspiring. Sonny writes, you both are radiating love. It creates your power for communicating true Ubuntu, eternal gratitude. Susan Bloomquist writes, this is true leadership. Absolutely. Pato and Antoinette for president. Okay, well, we're going to take a look at my favorite of all the videos that Pato's done. He's done a lot. This one's my favorite.
All right.
And I can't wait to see your presentation too, Anasuya. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, here we go. Here is Pato and Antoinette's beautiful video honoring our true spiritual leader, Martin Luther King.
Yeah. This one is dedicated to the King, Martin Luther King, our civil rights champion. Understand me, no man. And this one is dedicated to all the people all over the world, to every man and woman, every boy and girl, to everyone who believes that equal rights and justice should apply to all, regardless of our color, class, or creed. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. Well, just like MLK, I have a dream today. And like Bob Marley, I got so much things to say. Hey, wanna talk about empathy, equity and equality. Wanna talk about ending war and how to end poverty, how to end racial hate and police brutality. Cause where there's no justice, oh Jah, there can be no peace. Seems like humanity is in a state of emergency. We need more ethical leaders with a sense of integrity, like Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our there are so many problems, and we need some solutions. Yes, let's get together now and start a love revolution. And we can't stop, no, we can't slow up. We gotta keep pressing on. If you can't run, then walk. Can't walk, then it's time to crawl. He said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Darkness can't drive out darkness. Only light can do that, he said. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too much to bear. He said, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. You see, unconditional love will rule in eternity. He said, the time is always ripe to do what is right. Lord, I hear the voice of Jesus say, don't give up the fight. He said, where do we go from here? Chaos a community, my people. Instead of fighting each other, show some unity. He said, we fight injustice with civil disobedience. So speak up, don't be silent, and always remain non-violent. Yeah, let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, let me hear you sing it. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. This one is for the king. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, one more time. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Yeah. This one's for Martin Luther King. Our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King. Our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King. Our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him, this one's for Martin Luther King. Our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King. Our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King. Our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We choose to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
I have a dream that every child, every teenager should see that video. It's so brilliantly done. It's so inspiring. It's so informative. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Pato
Thank you
did
so
such a
much.
good job putting that together.
Oh my God, it's
Amazing.
just exceptional.
I'm going to drop it in the
Uh,
chat for the people who asked, who wanted to share it and stuff, and for the schools and stuff.
And there is a second version to that video with the children at the World Beat Center singing along and dancing with us on stage. There's a live version.
Yeah,
So
as you heard, we've lost our grant. They cut the funding for MLK, Juneteenth, anything black going on, whatever and stuff. But it's okay. It's okay. We will
gonna
still be here.
keep going on.
We're going to keep on keeping
But
on.
thank you, Scott. Thank you, brother.
We love you.
Blessed.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And take a look at all that's going on in the chat box. The chat box is going nuts. Including friend East.
Conscious life and the divine feminine thing at the end of the month, right, Scott? With you.
I will see you at Conscious Life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we'll definitely, we'll let's spend the weekend together at Conscious Life. Let's do that for sure. Take care. Love you so much.
Bye.
Well, I think you're about the only person who could follow Pato and Antoinette and pull it off on the Suya.
God is good. So
God is good. And you do
counting
look
on
pretty
mother to come on
awesome.
through. Huh?
And you do look really awesome. I got to tell
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you. I, one, thank you, Scott, for creating space for us to bring forth the presence and spirit of Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because his father was a senior and also a doctor. So we have to distinguish that. Um, it is a blessing that you give us space and that you are very conscious of, um, as you say, the people of color in your community. But I would rather you call us what we are: the Black people in your community, the Latinos in your community, the Asians in your community. Because I'm not a color per se. I'm not a person of color. I am a proud sixth generation Black American, which means I'm here longer than most white Americans are in this country,
Yeah,
and it
absolutely.
means something very different. I'm not a person of color. I am somebody who has deep roots in this country. And so that has to be acknowledged.
Thank you.
So
I will make that adjustment in my languaging.
wonderful. And I'd say that to everyone, because there's somehow that has become politically correct. And I can't think of anything more incorrect. It's like saying white people saying, I don't see color. And it's like, how is that possible? So just so that we're clear on that. And I say that because what Pato and Antoinette have brought us to is the recognition of a long journey. But it did not start with slavery. So much of our history as African Americans, so much of our history is presented. Our lives started in the 1600s with the beginning of chattel transatlantic slave trade. But it didn't. The Europeans did not go to Europe to get slaves. The Europeans went to Europe to get scientists, to get botanists, to get metal workers, to get rice growers. They went to specific countries to get specific tribes to get specific skill set. And they were very well of what skill set they were getting. They were not choosing random people. They were choosing the most talented, the strongest, the most intelligent, and depleting Africa of their genius and taking it with us, but not allowing us to stand in our genius for our own empowerment. They were using our genius for the growth and empowerment of this new countries, because African beings that were captured, that were being the first human traffickers. We were once trafficked to Argentina, to Colombia, to all of the Central, Latin America, Central America, the Caribbean, and then America. Those ships took genius and enslaved it. They did not take slaves. So we really have to be cognizant of what's important to recapture and reclaim. There's an expression in Ghana that has two symbols for it called Sankofa. And Sankofa means in order to go forward, you must know where you come from. And so that's one representation that looks like a heart, but it's not. The other representation is a bird walking forward with his head going back. And it says, to go forward, you must go back and fetch it. You must go back and fetch the truth. Because if you keep walking blindly in the truth that has been given to us by those who have written history, then we will always stay blind. And so I was really appreciative of the message that Alejandra and Rory brought about the balancing of the divine masculine and divine feminine, because that is so what is most needed now. Let us take a collective breath together and breathe in the truth of divinity, of our own innate divinity. Let's breathe that in and let it fill our lungs and our whole bodies. Let us radiate with the truth of our own innate divinity. And let's exhale all the places where we think we're not good enough, not smart enough, not holy enough, not sacred enough. All those things, blow out those lies. Because we have to be the mirrors for one another's truth. We have got to be the mirrors for each other's truth. My spiritual teacher, well, one of them, I've had so many, I've been blessed. My spiritual teacher, Baba Muktananda, said, see God in each other because God lives within you as you. Let that sink in. See God in each other. God lives within you as you. How many of us woke up today realizing that we are God embodied? God in the flesh, breathing. I know I woke up with my list of things that weren't right, things I want to fix, how my leg is hurting, how this is going. But then I had to grab myself and say, Anasuya, if Jesus was in front of you, would you say that to him? Nope. So we've been taught that God is on the outside, other, something to attain, something to go for, something to die for. No. We are the ocean and we are the drop in the ocean, and we're the ocean and the drop. That's the yin and yang. We are it. And I say this because the greatest gift that Dr. King gave me is understanding how much I am Jesus as well as the Holy Spirit. And when I say the Holy Spirit, I am talking about Mother God, because that's the Trinity that makes sense to me. That's the Mother, Father, Child that makes sense to me, is that. And when I went back into the original language, Aramaic, that Jesus spoke, Holy Spirit is feminine. Holy Spirit is feminine. It is motherly. It is the Holy Comforter. It is divine in its sanctuary. So when he goes to his mother and he calls his mother in to take his place, he says, oh, I'm leaving, but I send my mother. I send the Holy Spirit to walk with you. He's sending his mother who has been with him his whole life, who's been with us our whole lives, and who will never leave us, because what mother leaves their child? But the Greeks came and said, let's neuter the Holy Spirit. It's neuter. It's not male or female. It's not masculine or feminine. It's neuter. And then the Romans came and said, no, the Holy Spirit is masculine. So then you have a Trinity that is Father, Son, Dove. What child came from a dove? Really? So the divine feminine and divine masculine have always gone together. But me, as a Black Baptist, grown-up Black Baptist, it was Jesus and Mother. That's the divine feminine. It wasn't a couple. But when I moved on to Siddha Yoga and learning with the Hindus over there, I saw that, God can be mother and father. God could be uh, sister and brother. God could be husband and wife. Oh my goodness, the variety of how God expresses themselves. And I said, okay, this is a God I can hang on to. Because these are models, these are examples of who we already are. We just have not been given permission to remember. Jesus said, I have the quote, it's in John. Let me get the quote. Anasuya, it was right here. It's still here. The quote, no, that's not it. Yes. He says in John 14, verse 12, very, very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the work. That's the work will do the work that I have been doing, but they will do even greater things than I have done, because I am going to the Father. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate, the Holy Spirit, my mother. He will give you another advocate to help you and be with you forever in the spirit of truth. And it's like, I remember as a kid saying, what Jesus saying, greater things than these that he has done, the miracles that Jesus did. He says to us, greater than these things shall you do. How many of us actually believe that we will do greater things than Jesus? Did you even believe you can do things as good as Jesus? I wasn't taught that until I saw Dr. King. until I saw Dr. King embody that teaching. Now, he does not consciously say, I am trying to do greater things than Jesus. He did not say, I am trying to be Jesus. But he did say, I want to know what it's like to walk in those shoes. Because Jesus, Jesus, I meant Dr. King, but funny. Dr. King was a man, human like us, who understood that sometimes things are thrust upon us by the times. When he finished grad school, when he finished his doctor's degree, when he went and got his first church with his new wife and new baby, he had no intentions of being a radical. He was as Southern as they came, and he was as uh, patriarchal as they come. And he just wanted a quiet life with his church and his congregation and his little family, and that's it. But he was called by something greater, and he didn't say no. He didn't look away. When the people were saying how badly they were being treated by the buses that they took to get to work, and they called on that strike, he didn't want to get involved. So I don't want y'all thinking he was holy from the beginning. He was not. He was not interested. He's like, church on Sunday, Bible study on Wednesday, go see the sick and shut in on Tuesday. He wanted a regular old preacher life. But but he couldn't deny the injustice. He couldn't deny what was happening in front of him to his very congregation. He couldn't deny that these things were also happening to him. But they had been taught from hundreds of years to ignore the abuse, the mistreatment, the violence against them. They had been taught to ignore it or live with it. But one day he just realized because the people were pushing him that he couldn't keep ignoring it. And that is sacred activism. Sacred activism, meaning you have an opportunity in front of you to do something that you don't want to do. You're not interested in. You don't want to go out there and get your head beat in. You don't want to go out there and have the cops do what they did to that beautiful sister, that poet. Renee, who wants to take that chance? I can protest from my house. I don't want to go and risk my life. Well, that's great. You don't have to. There are many ways to protest. There's many ways to stand up for what's right. But somehow we have to remember that sacred activism is calling us. You wouldn't be here tonight if somewhere you didn't know sacred activism was calling you. The word sacred means the word sacrifice means to make sacred. Isn't that interesting? Sacrifice means to make sacred. So, for example, if I'm sacrificing during Lent, I'm not going to have any coffee. I'm sacrificing the pleasure of having something help me wake up. That's a sacrifice for me. But I'm also making it ritual. I in turn making the ritual of having coffee in the morning and seeing God in it and experiencing the blessings in it as a sacred act. That's my choice. So when we make sacrifices, we are making it sacred. So when we sacrifice our comfort and say we intentionally buy fair trade coffee so that the workers are getting paid $5 an hour instead of 5 cents an hour, I'm willing to pay $30 for this bag of coffee. That's a sacrifice. We don't have to do that, but are we looking for opportunities to make things sacred, to make them holy, to stand in their holiness? Because everything is holy if we're willing to see them. And Dr. King was willing to see that it was holy to ask for more, to be treated as human and not as 3/5 human, like they were still being treated in 1950, like they still were being treated in 1960, like we're still being treated now if we tell the truth. What sacred activism is calling you? I think you don't need my PowerPoint. You don't need all the beautiful quotes and pictures I had of Dr. King. Pato Antoinette did it. But we do need to be woken up to what is the sacred activism calling you in this moment. And everybody's is going to be different. But what is the action that has your name on it that you're willing to sacrifice for? Whether it's sacrifice your time, sacrifice some money, sacrifice some of your property belongings, sacrifice your resources. What are you willing to sacrifice for the greater good, for the higher good? Because what we were blessed to see with Pato and Antoinette are two people who are making a sacrifice of going to these countries out of their own pockets. They're not going with a lot of funding. They're not sponsored by the Kellogg Foundation. These are people who are saying, it's important to me that these children get educated. It's important to me that these women have a voice. It's important to me that these things happen. So I'm willing to sacrifice my time, my energy, my health, my attention to get on. But you say they're superhuman. Oh, they're so great. They're so wonderful. No, they're not. They're not superhuman. They're just like you and me. Just like Dr. King, he wasn't superhuman. All this shit about him being a saint, he wasn't a saint. He was not a saint. And I mean not with an N-O-T capital, not a saint. However, did he do saintly things? Yes. Did he do godlike things? Yes. Did he stand in his godlike truth? Absolutely. While being human, while making mistakes, while being freaking what's the word? While being what's the word? Chauvinist. There you go. Sorry. He was a chauvinist. His wife had to teach him that women were equal. Coretta Scott was like, yo, you don't understand. Women's voices are important. He was trying to say, no, no, you stay back. You know, the women have their place in the movement. Well, for every 10 men in the movement, there were hundreds of women. In the same way that there were 12 disciples with Jesus and hundreds of women behind them. That's the same with every movement. But Coretta's like, none of y'all will be doing anything you're doing, including you, Martin, if all these women were behind you. So, yeah, he was very human, but he was willing to be coachable. Took a while, but he was willing to be coachable. And are you willing to be coachable? Are you willing to do what it takes to make this world a better place? We all want something better. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want something better. You would not be on this call tonight, listening to Alejandra and to Rory and to Kurt and to Pato and Antoinette on this weekend when you could be doing, God, well, I don't know what you could be doing on a Saturday night, but you could be doing something else. But you're here week after week because you are committed to awakening the world. To what? Awakening us to our divinity, awakening us to the truth of who we are, awakening us to it. But you cannot keep staying in this little silo talking to each other, people. I keep saying this group needs to be 3 times its size, 5 times its size. Which means you have to intentionally, with your sacred activism, bring more people here. Our goal isn't to talk to each other and say, wow, we're doing such a great job being spiritual and what do you call it? Interspiritual? But are you reaching anybody else? Are you talking to someone else? Are you talking to that person you cannot stand? Are you talking to that person who pisses you off? Are you talking to that person that you know is a racist? Who are you making a sacrifice for of your energy and time? Yeah, you could talk to them and they may not come and they may think you're crazy, but did you make the effort to reach somebody on the other side of the line, on the other side of your paradigm, on the other side of your truth? Because if we don't reach those people and the lower frequencies continue to reach them, we won't be able to outnumber them with our love. We won't be able to reach them with love because there's a lot more poison coming at them. Are we going to take responsibility for the world we're in? Sacred activists ask that question. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? You heard that all those police that have been convicted of heinous crimes are being set free. You're hearing how all of the wrong is being turned into right. Where are you in the matter? Where are you in the matter? What is your sacred activism? What are you willing to sacrifice? To write letters, to send postcards, to go to the kitchens, to go talk to people, to read to people, to whatever it takes. Go to town halls and listen to what they're arguing. Listen to people who don't agree with you. But listen for the point, okay, I'm listening, I'm learning their point of view. I'm going to stand in their shoes. I'm going to stand and see how they got to this place. I'm going to listen to them, even if it makes no sense to me. I am going to be with them until I understand them. So that when I speak, they don't hear me saying you're wrong. They're going to hear me saying, I care about what you care about. Let's find the one thing we care about together that's the same. Because not that many people are doing that. Not that many people are taking the time to say, I see God in you. It's a form and shape and sound I am not used to. But that doesn't change, it's still God. Because if God is everything, sentient and insentient, if God is the trees and the mountains and the skies and the blue, if God is the rats and the flies and if God is the mountain, if God is all those things, then God is also the person who is saying the most heinous things back to you. God cannot be in some people and be in others. God cannot. There's no mother God, the Holy Spirit in some people, but not in others. That's not how it works. It's in all or it's in none of us. And I choose to see God in all. And it is work. Okay? It is work.
I
When
want to come in for a moment, Anasuya, because what you're saying is, I made that dedication about a little over 23 years ago to try and see the divinity in all. And it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
Still struggle to see the divinity in our current dictator in chief. And before that, I had trouble seeing the divinity in other certain political figures.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the practice. And
That is.
seeing the divinity doesn't mean we condone hurtful behavior and hurtful choices.
Absolutely.
And this is one of the things I teach in my coaching. Our problem is never with the being. Our problem is with choices or behaviors that person has made.
Absolutely.
But if we could always see the divinity of the being while setting boundaries or by acknowledging the consequences of choices made, that's the balance. And
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to come in with that because it's such an important, what you're saying is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really would love to invite our audience, pop in the chat box. What are some of the ways that you practice sacred activism?
I'd love to hear it.
And if any of you want to increase your sacred activism or take an extra step in honor of Martin Luther King this weekend, pop in the chat box what's something you're going to do to just kind of stretch a little bit. As Anasuya said, sacrifice a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Anasuya, we are way over time.
I know. I was wrapping up, but I was getting excited as well. But I'll wrap up by saying you all amazing. You wouldn't be here if you weren't amazing. And you wouldn't be here if you didn't um if you weren't being the change you wish to see in this world. Each one of you has played such a great part in making this world better. Each one of you has played such a great part in it. I'm just asking you to multiply yourself by 2, by 3, by 4. And maybe one of the 4 people you multiply is one of those people you thought you'd never talk to, who you would never see eye to eye with. Find one thing you have in common with even that person that can be perceived as an enemy. Find it, because we can create a tipping point that is coming. It's going to happen. It's just how many will die before we get there. How many will be killed before we get there? Where we create a tipping point where love is definitely has taken over, and we have restored justice, we have restored peace, we have restored higher consciousness. It's coming, but it will come at the speed that we're willing to sacrifice comfort, comfort. Because it's an uncomfortable thing to be with the other. It's an uncomfortable thing, and inconvenient, and uncomfortable, and unwilling to be willing to be with these other people. But it's what's going to save us. And I trust you, and I'm counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anasuya, you are such a gem. How's your health? How's your health?
Improving. Thank you so much. This is it. And I just say to my body, look, you can do what you need to do to get healthy, but there's stuff we got to do. So, like, find the fast track. There's places we got to go. There's things we got to do. Come on. We can do it. We can do it. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. We love you very much. And thank you for you're so inspiring and the perfect follow-up to Pato and Antoinette. And I love you very much.
I love you too, Scott. You're the bestest, and your community is the bestest.
One of
The bestest.
One of the highlights of my recent life was when you came to my birthday party. That really meant a lot.
Alejandro, I want your number. Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh, that was supposed to be in the private chat. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I'll bring her up here so you can embarrass her publicly.
Embarrass? I'm showering love upon her. I'm showering love upon her.
So I love when presenters, I'll bring Antoinette up too. I love when presenters get to know each other. I'm my totem animal is the bee, and I love to cross-pollinate and bring people together. So it's very exciting to meet you meet Anasuya and Antoinette. It's a triple A. It's the triple A program. Anasuya, Antoinette, and Alejandra. The triple A divine feminine and action women.
Yes.
All three of you. God has blessed all three of you. Thank you.
And then we had the three sacred masculine, divine masculines, Kurt, Pato, and Rory. So come on, let's not leave out the men. Let us not leave out the men.
Kurt's still with us. There's Kurt.
Anasuya, that was fire. It's like more fire. Shots fired. More fire. It's like I felt every bit of that, and that was so powerful. I'm so glad that you followed the spirit with that, because that was really truly needed to be said and addressed. And I think you just gotta say that everywhere. Just bring it around everywhere, because Martin Luther King did say that anybody can serve.
Anybody
So
can leave, and
true.
anybody can see.
And then, and for us, as students of the Urantia, because I've been trying the same thing. The whole thing that I'm doing over at the Conscious Life is introducing the Mother Spirit.
Yes.
Because it's like, why are people missing out on this whole concept? Because this is so huge. It's the Father, the Son, the Infinite Spirit, the Mother, and she has a daughter, which is the same attributes. The Infinite Local Mother Spirit and Christ. The whole
There you go.
universe is like, why do people always think this universe is just all masculine? There ain't nothing in this universe or in this world. Birds and the bees, flowers and the trees, men and women.
I was waiting for Alejandro just to spill out more and more and more, just all about this divine feminine. Like, I didn't know there was no time, but I'm looking forward to that talk, girl. Let me take notes.
It's coming. You need to come down to Conscious Life, girl. I'm telling you.
Okay, we'll talk.
Please.
Thank you both so much. And we actually have something really special. We're going to bring, Karen S. has been with us from the very, very, very beginning. And she wrote a song, which we played once before, and it's so beautiful, and it's really, really perfect. So, Karen S., I'm bringing you up on camera. And please share with us a little bit about your song that you wrote that we're about to play.
Well, a few months ago, I live in a senior facility in Atlanta, right down the street from Ebenezer Church and the King Center. And a few months ago, one of our weekly activities, we were asked to write some songs. And then we did that, and then one of my neighbors said, well, maybe we need to do a Christmas CD. So we did that, and we have the CD, which I have right here. and it's there are 14 songs on there. And we collaborated. I collaborated on a couple of the other songs, but I decided to write one song by myself, and that's the one that you're about to play. And so yes, that's how that came about.
It's a beautiful song, and everybody listen to the lyrics. And it's called "My Wish." So,
And I did want to make say one thing before you start.
sure.
I did sing at Ebenezer this past Saturday. For the they do a concert. Well, this is the second year they've done a concert with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and Chorus. So I performed with them, and then I'll be singing with them on Monday on the holiday for the commemorative program. And it's going to be at 10 o'clock Eastern time on Monday, and I'm sure it'll be live.
Beautiful. Karen S., thank you so much. And here we go. And this is just an audio. We don't have a video to go with it, but read the words.
Not yet.
My wish is for the whole world to be more like Wheat Street, where we are living Martin's dream of a loving community. Where all types of people get along, no matter what race or color or creed. We have Christians, Muslims, and Hebrews true, blacks and whites and indigenous too. What we may lack in material things, we make it up by being loving. There is always someone around to lend a helping hand, always someone who will understand. A friendly smile instead of a frown. There is always enough food to go around, and clothes to give to those in need. We all share without jealousy or greed, living in the shadow of the King's Center. We are living his dream of a beloved
That is just so beautiful. When I first got it, I actually played it like 4 times in a row. It just is fantastic. Baroness, and the words are perfect. Absolutely perfect words. And I'm glad that Anasuya and Antoinette and Alejandro all got a chance to see that. Our AAA goddess power tonight. Thank you so much, Karen S. Time to write another one.
Yeah, I'm working on something.
Oh, good, good. Well, we'll play it. You know that.
Okay.
All right. I think I'm going to go into our prayer time with DeArah and Desirea, and then I've got some Global Peace Tribe announcements, and we'll conclude with an Omashar song. But it's prayer time, which means it's DeArah and Desirea time. If I could find Desirea, there she is.
Hello, hello. Great to see everyone today. So I'm just beginning by taking a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. We are surrounded by beings of light. As we raise our vibration and expand that out, we can touch ones that we didn't even know we could touch. We turn on the light within them. We can do that with our voice. Our voice is heard all around. We give you the gift to amplify your love. As we download that now. May peace be with you.
Ooh, such beautiful weaving of the energies, and just like we're being called to have boots on the ground. Beautiful, loving, iron fist in the velvet glove boots, whether it's talking to a neighbor or having a sign on the street corner, however we give our love to change the world, and taking those beautiful threads that Desirea put out and running them from the center of our tribe, just emanating that love. And at the same time, allowing our hearts to have more compassion, more empathy for listening to those that feel so differently than we do. And allowing the cognitive dissonance that can occur to dissipate. And when we feel that cognitive dissonance, to drop into the heart. Because the heart will always bring us back to love. And we ask for more patience, more grace, just more of the divine parts of being human, that they be amplified. And that as we're growing as a human species, balancing the lower parts of our nature that we all experience, that they become more gentle, that they pass more quickly. And as you said, that our light beams out here and beyond.
Let's just have a minute of silence for if there's anyone that you want to bring into our prayer circle, or of course, prayer for our country, prayer for the people that don't feel safe, whatever it is you want to pray for, let's bring that into our circle right now. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you so much. I have put the link to Karen's song into the chat box, and I encourage everybody to copy it. And thank you again, Desirea and DeArah. I've got a few announcements. We're talking about MLK, and every year our friends at oneworld.earth, John and Summer Rainbow, who run the Compassion Games, they every year do a program on Martin Luther King's birthday called MLK Day of Service. His birthday is being celebrated. The actual birthday was a couple of days ago, but it's celebrated with a holiday, the national holiday on Monday, the 19th. And so if you're interested in participating in this program, it'll be at 9:00 Pacific time. And you can find out all about it by going to oneworld.earth and just go to events and you'll see it. The MLK Day of Service. And Pato Antoinette kind of kicked off the annual MLK Compassion Games program a few days ago on oneworld.earth. And that's when I realized I wanted to show both videos. I knew I was going to show the MLK video. That's when I realized I also wanted to show the Black Lives Matter video. So anyway, that's an important thing to know about. Also, Dr. Laura sent an urgent email saying that the Schumann resonance has dramatically increased today, and that she has someone she really believes in who's has spiritual understanding, and that when that happens, the likelihood of a big earthquake increases. So she asked me to just let our audience know that there might be a significant earthquake coming soon. Just put that out there if there's anything that if you feel resonance with that. And then I want to let people know about our upcoming shows, because we've got some really beautiful shows coming up next week. They're both going to be terrific, actually. I'm really excited about it. So on Wednesday night, we are going to have a show. The theme is bringing more harmony into the world. And our beloved Reverend Jeffrey has helped put this together. And it's also his birthday. And it's also Reverend Ernest Holmes' birthday, the founder of Religious Science. So we're going to be honoring Ernest Holmes and Jeffrey. And we've got a great lineup. Our co-host, Lee Kempter, and Marshall Lefferts, who's brilliant, will be with us. Nama, who's brilliant, will be with us. Of course, Omashar will provide music, and Tatiana will be providing a song or two as well. So it's going to be quite a celebration. And finally, a week from tonight, on Saturday the 24th, usually I do authors that we love on Wednesday nights, but we've got so many amazing people. I expanded it to Saturday night. And look at that lineup. We're going to have Elizabeth April, Samantha Sweetwater, Isabelita Papa, my dear friend, Katrina Deborah-Giusti, and TJ Woodward, all of whom have brand new books or publications to share. So it's going to be a really powerful show a week from tonight. So make sure that you join us live, if at all possible. And I liked Anasuya's suggestion. Let's get more people watching The Awakening World. That was my Christmas birthday wish, is to really grow our audience. So invite more people, create a house party, create a home party, invite people to come over and watch our shows. Next week's shows will be great ones to introduce people to The Awakening World. Either Wednesday nights or Saturday nights, they'll both be terrific. So please do join us. Yes, Sister Stone would be great to be on the show again. I would like that. I just saw Ayada's comment about that. I want to thank Kurt one more time. I'm going to bring Kurt up. I want to thank Antoinette. I want to thank Anasuya. I want to thank Rory and Alejandra. Is Alejandra? She is still here. Here she is. There she is. With your new friend, Anasuya.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky, actually.
And here, I'll bring up Kurt one more time. And Rory, wherever you are, we appreciate you. Karen,
Antoinette.
Antoinette, where's Antoinette? She was here a moment ago. There she is. And also want to thank Desirea and DeArah. Thank you all so much for all your contributions tonight. And we are going to turn it over to the Omega Man. He is the man who begins and ends our shows, our beloved Omashar.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you don't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, but it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So if there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road and I'll share your load if you just call me. So call me, call me, call. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Woo-hoo-hoo! What a perfect song, as always. You have such an amazing ability to choose the right songs, Omashar. That's a great
God
cover.
goddess, all that is chooses in through me. I have my hands off.
Well, it's perfect, absolutely perfect. And I'm keeping it on gallery view because it's so beautiful to see everybody. We've gotten to the point where there's so many people dancing. I got to go to gallery view because I don't want anybody to feel excluded. And I still worry about Susan Woolridge getting dizzy from going around and around. Thank you, everybody. It was a beautiful show. Share
Scott, can I
with
just add one more word?
yes.
One more. People focus on Dr. King as a dreamer. He wasn't a dreamer. He was an actor. He was in action. Everything he does was an action. Everything he did was an action. He took action. He took action. He took action. He wasn't a dreamer. He was someone who took action on a vision that God gave him. May we do the same.
Let's all take actions, everybody. Let's all take actions. Thank you, Anasuya. Perfect way to end. Much love, everybody. I will see you on Wednesday night. Take care.